Well, to be sure, with the shale revolution, now the United States is, as you mentioned, the number one producer in oil and natural gas. We're the number one exporter globally of natural gas, of LNG. And of course, that's for energy security. Our friends and allies have come to depend on the U.S. for that supply, and it's an increased supply. So as we go through the energy transition, and natural gas continues to be the driver to take the place of coal, to take the place of Russian gas in Europe, we see that, the policies need to continue to be in place to allow that to happen. I just read this morning that the Biden administration's pause on new LNG, export authorizations, that pause has been lifted by federal court in the United States. So, the court read the law and said, that the Biden administration cannot pause in its duties to continue to review requests for export authorization. So that's important to know. So that type of having a statute in place, having courts that read the law that way, it tells this administration, the next administration, you need to continue to do your statutory duties. You just simply, for political reasons or any other reason, you can't pause in your statutory duties because you have an upcoming election to consider.
Mark, let me just steer away from some of the politics towards the technology, because you are on a panel later today talking about viable climate technologies. And we know there's been a huge focus on green tech in recent years, utilizing 5G, big data, and other key technology trends, including AI. But that proposition around AI has been supersized. So is there any new technology that's coming to the forefront that you think is compelling to change the energy transition story?
Right. Well, we started the conversation about hydrogen, that typically continues to be overlooked. It's decadal in approach for a transition toward hydrogen. But in the United States, if we focus there, while we don't have an energy trading system that you have in Europe that might drive, economic reasons to consider moving toward hydrogen, what we do have in the United States, we now have funded $1 billion each for 7 hydrogen hubs. They're regionally dispersed throughout America. And my organization is helping to assist in the analysis of how do you increase hydrogen demand, and then how is it that you can put in place production processes, transmission processes, and of course, ultimate use. We need to drive the cost down, but we shouldn't, forget about things that are in our plain to see, and that's hydrogen. Biofuels continues to be a big area, synthetic fuels, where we're making great progress to help lower the carbon intensity. You talked about AI. The exciting thing about AI, admittedly, it's going to take a lot more electricity to power AI that we're going to need. If you believe what Sam Altman says, and next year we're going to be totally dependent on AI, the use of AI in the new technologies. Take fusion, for example. The saying had always been, well, we're 30 years away from fusion. Well, that may be the case. But if you can deploy AI on the development of fusion technology, whether it's magnetic, whether or not it's plasma, our scientists are now saying that we can shave off a decade or more from the next fusion projects. So think about that. We're now going to be using AI to help develop, whether it's storage capacity. We still need storage capacity until we figure out how to essentially transmit electrons, directly off of satellites, and we continue to need wires. We need to be able to store electrons, and battery technologies and other types of storage continue to be really the best way forward. We want to move away, if we can, from lithium ion. That's critical minerals. The United States has shown that, we have a dearth of critical minerals. We are dependent on China and other countries for processed minerals and critical materials and minerals that we need. We're trying to bring that back into the United States, but the use of AI can help us to develop new technologies that you might not need critical minerals. Right. Iron flow batteries, for example, that you don't need these kinds of things. So we have a lot of potential technologies, in front of us. But it's really an exciting time, and it's almost across